Hey, you guys, how's things going? Oh my goodness. So I've been really kind of going crazy making clusters, and I thought this would be a great time to share some of what I've been doing. I wanted to do this for quite a while. A few years ago, I did a video where I started making them, and um, I I don't know why, but for it's been a couple years since I even had any, inclination to make like, clusters, but that hasn't stopped me from collecting things to make them with. And one of the things that I thought would be really fun to use, since I have a gazillion of them, are the little Tim Holtz people. And so, they've put out a few other sets of them, and one of the sets are the larger faces. So I've actually used all of them, and I'll show you how I used them. But I've just got a ton of them, so I thought it'd be really fun to try to use up some of these guys and gals, and make some clusters with them. So I kind of have them. Well, I did have them kind of sorted out, but um, they're just so cool, and it's hard to find ways to use them where they're not. I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of people use them where they put, butterfly wings behind them and stuff like that, which is super cool. But, I want to do something a little bit different. Anyway, so I thought they'd be fun to use in clusters. Aren't they cute? Some of them are just so adorable. And then also, I want to use some of my own photos, like my own like old family pictures and stuff, and make some clusters with those, or just some embellishments for the journals that I've been working on. Um, anyway, I'm just gonna tuck these in back into this bag here real quick. So let me show you some of the other things that I kind of have gathered around me. Well, I'm just gonna stick that in here, but this is a bowl that are all cluster embellishments that I've already finished. So I've got this little bin full of just little tags. Some of them are coffee dyed, some are not. Some of those little watch repair tags, and just little tags. I've got another little bin with a very small amount of little scraps of fabric and lace, and there's some linen and some little doilies that I've cut up into just small pieces, some little fabric measuring tapes, some of the beautiful eyelet trim that I got from Carla. And I believe she still has some of this available for sale. So if you're interested in purchasing some of this eyelet lace trim, um, I'll leave a link to her channel in the description, or I'll reach out to her and find out how she wants people to request those if she has them. I think she might just have them listed on her Etsy shop. So I'll link her Etsy shop, um, and also her YouTube channel, so you can get a hold of her if you need to. Anyway, it's just beautiful. And I know she got a whole bunch of it. So, and I think she still has some. So anyway, if you want some of that. Another thing that I would, I didn't pull any out, but some cheesecloth or like gauze fabric, or something like that would also be really cool. And then I've got the tray that just has all kinds of little bits, a lot of the little Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, and numbers and little labels and stamps and flowers and butterflies, and just the labels, um, some stuff that I fussy cut, just all kinds of little bits. And then, of course, there's another. I actually have two of those. This one has more of the little. It's a lot of the same stuff, but it has more little teeny tiny pieces in it. like little letters that I cut apart from scrapbook paper and stuff like that. So, anytime I have just little tiny bits of things, this is kind of where they wind up. And, little scraps of like ledger paper and uh, just labels and whatnot. And then I've got this tray that has some pieces of most of this is like cardstock. See, here's a picture of my grandma, and then my great grandma with my dad. Um, and these are printed on some real lightweight photo paper, and then I just backed them onto some file folder. So I want to do some more of these. I probably won't work with them today, but I thought it would be fun to print some of these out larger and then fussy cut them, maybe just on half, like one side or something. I don't know. I'll play around with them and see what I wind up doing. But these are some digitals from I think it's Junk with Stuff. I can't remember. But anyway, pieces of scrapbook, like a lot of the scrapbook paper collections that you can buy, they'll include like journaling cards, So these are some 49 in Market, like journaling cards that I just cut out. Other pieces, this is scrapbook paper again. And then of course, a lot of the little Tim Holtz ephemera pieces that are like tags and different types of card. So these are things that I thought would be fun to use as bases for clusters. And you'll notice that most of them are a little bit larger. I do want to use these as pockets in the journals that I'm working on. So I'm making them on bases that are a little bit larger. I do also have a little collection of smaller pieces of card. Most of these are label shapes that I've cut out. These came from some scrapbook paper. Anyway, so mostly just cardstock. So these are just little labels that I stamped onto the little example page that comes on the front of most scrapbook papers. So a lot of the 49 in Market ones, I like the way they do them because they give you an example of each paper that's in the collection, and then it's backed with some nice little print or something. So anyway, so that's what those are. And then just labels, just label shapes that are cut out of cardstock mostly. And then I did some larger ones on other types of cardstock. Some of those big tickets, those are fun to use for clusters. But anyway, yeah, so lots of little bits. So I just kind of wanted to sort of, I guess, go through sort of what my process is when I make clusters and sort of talk about my thoughts when I'm putting them together. So hopefully, if it's something that you're interested in doing, but maybe you just don't really feel, I don't know, some people have a hard time with layering and working with different elements, and they're um maybe they're just not happy with the way they come out. So I thought I would just sort of just talk to you about my thoughts when I put these together. So anyway, yeah, and then I'll show you some of the ones that I've already done. Anyway, so I'm going to put this bowl aside because I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But let's just start with like some smaller ones, and let's work on some of these little label shapes. So what what I usually try to do is work with like an odd number of elements. So not counting the base. So I would pull out some type of base that is sort of somewhat sturdy, and you can use anything. You can use, you know, packaging that you think is cool, or, like, different pieces of like one thing that I think looks really neat are playing card boxes make good bases for clusters. If you have like, vintage playing card boxes that you just kind of hung on to, or other types of like vintage packaging that, you don't really know what else to do with it, use it for clusters. So anyway, so this is just like a really basic little label shape. So then I'll find some kind of little fabric piece. And I like to incorporate at least one type of like lace or fabric, or, something, some kind of trim, or, some kind of element like that in my clusters, just to give them, some texture, basically. And, even just the tiniest little pieces are good. So what I do is I'll hold the I'll hold the base in my hand, and wherever I have my thumb is where I'm going to staple. And I usually hold my clusters together using staples. So you can glue them if you want to, if you feel like they're not going to hold together with a staple, but I don't usually have much trouble with using a staple. So anyway, so wherever I have my thumb is where I'm thinking I'm going to put my staple. Okay. So then I'll pull out just other little pieces, and I generally start with like, I go from like large to small. And, I don't really care so much about covering up most of that element, like I've just covered up most of that lace, but you can still see it kind of peeking out from the back. I better zoom in. I wanted to be able to show you my whole desk as much as I could. Anyway, so you can see it's just kind of sticking out just a little bit. Um, so then, and I also like to use some kind of element that has like a nature sort of thing, like a bird or a butterfly or a bug or a flower or something like that. But, and I also, one of the things that is kind of effective is changing the direction of your elements. So like this is a vertical piece, and then I put on this kind of square piece and another vertical. So I want to kind of change that up, and I want to add something that's like more horizontal. Okay. So I'm going, large to small again. So this is a little bit smaller piece, and I'm just going to layer it right on top like that. Changing the direction. Also, I try to add just kind of just me, I guess, but I usually try to add some kind of postage stamp or something like that too. And I'll lay it on somehow where I can still see some of the element that's underneath. So I don't really like how that's landing right in the center of that piece. So I'm just going to tuck it under it like that. Okay. So you can still see that it's a postage stamp, but you can't see all of it. But it's a postage stamp in your head, right? Because we know what postage stamps look like. And then I'm just going to add like this is just a little flower. It's just a little, um, you know, die cut flower. And then I'll just staple that right where my thumb was. And I'm using the tiny attacher, and I know that it works really well. Like it fastens all the way through. If you're using things that are a little bit too thick, sometimes it won't go all the way through, but you just have to work with that, I guess. Maybe try to use thinner elements. And then a lot of times I'll use a little pair of pliers. A bent nose plier works really well because it can reach in further, and just kind of flatten that down on the back. And then, that's basically a little cluster. And you can go back and and add on other little elements if you want to. Like I didn't use this guy. I just don't think it was necessary to kind of accomplish the goal, you know. And then, you know, if you feel like things are just really kind of floppy and like it's not going to hold together, just kind of use like a needle nose or a needle tip glue, and you can go in and just add some little dabs of glue in between the layers to, you know, get things to, you know, stick together a little bit better. If you feel like it's like if you're using this, say, like on the cover of a journal or in an area where you think it's going to get like heavy uh, abuse, then, you know, I think gluing it together is a good idea. But I start with a staple. Sometimes I'll sew these together with the sewing machine, and you know, of course, then I don't want to use a staple, but let's do one on one of these labels, one of these, like these little guys. So that one obviously is kind of oriented where all of my little elements are on the right hand side. Let's do one where things are, actually, I don't want to cover up that flower. Let's pick a different one. That one's kind of nice. It has a floral sort of thing on the right hand side. So I'm going to try to situate my elements over on this side now. So let's use a little piece of that eyelet trim because I'm obsessed with it. Put that at the back. Actually, I'm going to try to squeeze it in between some other elements. So let's do this one as kind of a background. And I have these larger stamps. This kind of a bigger stamp. So see, I've changed the direction. I've got two pieces going vertical. Now I want to change it up and create something going horizontal. So now I think I'm going to add in my little lace. And I know, like I just covered up half of that stamp, but that's kind of the idea, you know, because people know that that's a stamp. You know, people know it's a postage stamp. This piece is a little bit too large. If I add that on top of there, I think it's going to cover up too much. So I'm trying to find something a little bit smaller, like maybe this little guy. I'm going to put this one going. Sorry, guys. I know I should be paying more attention to the camera. There. Is that a little bit better? Okay, so that, wait, let me scooch it over just a little bit, just to make sure you can see a little bit of that stamp. Let's see if I can find a little tiny label in here, or a little tiny tag in here. I know I have some teeny tiny ones somewhere. Here's one. So I'm going to add this guy right. I'm going to put it going sideways like that. Okay, and all the while I'm holding this with basically two fingers because that way I know that my staple is going to hold everything together. I do still want to add some kind of little, I usually work with this right under me, so it makes it easier for me to find stuff and not going back and forth. Okay, and then I'm going to add a butterfly right there. So that's how many elements? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 elements on this one. So, but that's okay because everything is relatively thin. And again, you know, the staple went through just fine. So then I'm going to squeeze those together so it doesn't snag on things. So another little cluster. And when you get going making these, it's crazy how fast you can kind of crank them out, you know? Um, so let's do one where the base starts out horizontal. Trying to find a little, like a ticket. Actually, I want one like this. So that's going to go like that. Actually, let's put a little piece of fabric behind that ticket. So I'm still leaving the bird visible a little bit. Grab a postage stamp, and I'm just going to hold it with just the corner under my thumb. And I want to add a flower element in here too. So I'm actually going to tuck this behind the, no, that covers up too much of it. Let's see. See if I can find another flower in here. Ah, here's a good one. This one's real vertical. So that'll work perfect. Okay, and then maybe some kind of little number or like a little miniature label would be cool. Kind of running out of those. I need to stamp some and cut some more out. You know, those little teeny tiny labels. Also, what's kind of helpful to have when you have a tray like this is a pair of pliers, or tweezers, I mean, because that just kind of helps you sort of move things around. And it's easier to pick things up if you have chubby fingers like me. I want a little tiny label and I can't find one. Oh well. All the little tiny things wind up at the bottom. Oh, here, this will be cute. This is a little playing card. No, let's just use this little number. Okay. And I'll stick that right on top. So how many pieces do I have? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one's 6, but I like the balance of it and I think it works. Staple it down. Okay, so that one could actually go either way. Like it could go horizontal or vertical, depending on, where I put it. So another way that I sometimes will do this is I'll just take a bunch of bases and lay them out on my desk. Like if I want to make a lot of clusters. So I'll just lay them out on my desk. I'll do 5 sort of mass making clusters, right? And then I'll add a little fabric piece on each one. I'm just laying it down for now. I'm not attaching it or a little piece of fabric. Two pieces of this lace on this one. And let's see. You guys see those? Okay. So I've got a little piece of fabric on each one. Now I want to add some other kind of element. like a little ticket or something like that. So here's, I'm going to add this, I'm going to do this one going that way. Don't have to be tickets. See that one. So a little tiny library card. This is a little bit larger piece, so I'm actually going to tuck it under the fabric on this one. And then, let's see. And this way it frees up both hands too. So, you know, you can dig around through things a little bit easier. So when I have these coffee dyed tags, I usually cut the string a little bit shorter just because it kind of gets in the way. So I'm going to add one there. I'm tying a knot in it, but I just want it to be a little bit shorter. But I still like having the string on it. I love these red labels that I got from I got those from Patty Lang a long time ago. Well, I mean, not decades ago, but quite a while ago, a couple years ago. Let's just use another one of those little tickets. Okay, and then let's do kind of a larger, like nature type of element. So add that one there. And I can straighten these up too later on. Butterfly. And use that rose that I was kind of struggling with earlier. Add that one on there. See, it's kind of big. It's just a little bit too big, I think. Okay, I know this is taking forever, huh, guys? So you can take these types of elements and cut them down too. Like you don't have to use the whole piece. I just don't want to cut that rose. Let's use a bug on one of these. So we'll use that. Too big. Love this mushroom on here. Okay. And then let's find a smaller element to add on top of each of those. So we'll do a number. Let's add this little field label somewhere. And a postage stamp. Just a little brown postage stamp. And a number. Oh, here's one of those little tiny labels. I like to use these. This way also, when you lay them down like this, you can sort of work with your, composition a little bit easier too. Okay, so those are all just kind of laid out. Now, now I'm going to do like I do with all of them and just use my thumb to sort of place everything where I want it. I think I want another element on this one. No, nope, 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 nope. I know, I'm taking forever. I just want something else on there. Okay, how about this? Yeah, that's okay. Staple it down. So it's not terrible, you know. I mean, they don't have to be perfect, right? That one looks pretty cool just the way it is. Um, there we go. This one's pretty good the way I have it laid out. Add my stamp back in there. And then this number. I'm going to put the number sideways. My screen keeps going black. I need to figure out how to stop it from doing that. So this fabric is pretty floppy. I'm going to add something behind it maybe, so it's not so floppy. It's like something like that, where it'll just kind of hold it up. Add my little library card. I'm going to put this label sideways. This one's a little bit thicker now that I added that other element in there, but I still like it. I like this one pretty much just the way it was. See if I can squeeze this guy in here. Okay. So, I mean, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clusters in, I guess it was 30 minutes, but actually it was probably more like 15 minutes because I was sort of showing you guys other stuff. So let me just show you what I was doing with the, here's what I'm doing with these guys. Let me pull out a couple that I'd like to use. To that couple. Where's those two little kids that I had out earlier? I like that one. I really like all of them, but where is those two little kids? Ugh, that one of them. And then her. Yeah. Super cute. Okay. I mean, I've had these little people for so long and I don't know, I just don't use them for some reason. Maybe because I just feel like everybody uses those, so I don't want to use them because everybody uses them, but they're cool. So why not use them? Anyway, but I do want to make my own, like using my own original photos too. So here's just kind of how I've been starting these with the people. Okay. So I take a little bit larger base. I've been using just the cardstock ones. So like say like one of those. This is just some scrapbook paper, 49 in Market, scrapbook paper. So I'll take one and just kind of lay it on. Now I want to be able to use this as a pocket. So I want to glue this whole thing onto a page, like like totally glued down, maybe. um, but I want this to be like a little tuck spot, kind of like I did on those journal wraps that I made where I did the circles, if you remember that video. Um, Anyway, so because I think I might use some of these as wraps on some of the journals that I'm working on. So, or on all of them actually. Anyway, so I'm just going to line them up. I like those bigger ones better because I cut it off around the edges. So that's something like if you have these large ones where it's like a, you know, I don't want to say a vignette, but it's, like a larger face. Um, they're usually like two shoulders, like a bust. I think that's even what they're called. But, but, so I've been laying them down and then I cut those corners around the edge of the label shape. So it kind of cleans them up a little bit. And then I just stitched them down, um, using the sewing machine. But I want to make some more using some of these other people. So I'm not really worried about trimming these off like around the edges because I think it's kind of cool to leave their feet. And, if an arm sticks out and their head sticks out, then that's cool too. So anyway, so I am going to glue this down, but I'm just going to glue it just just slightly. Like I don't it just needs to hold it in place for a second, like just until I can get it done with my sewing machine. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue down here at the bottom. So it's just a couple little dots to just kind of keep them, there we go, just kind of keep them in place. And I want a smaller one for her. She's so cute. No, she kind of gets lost on that one. Maybe I could go vertical with her. No. So I'm just putting like a couple little dots of glue right on the edge where I'm going to place her. Whoops. Stay. Um, like these ladies I'm going to put down a little bit lower, kind of scooch her over a little bit. Add a little glue here and a little bit right there. So I want this to be a tuck spot. So when I stitch it, I'm only going to stitch around this border right here down on the corner. Um, and then I'll go back. So I'll stitch those with the sewing machine. And like I said, just right along that border. And it's just to hold them on, you know, it's just to hold them down, so that they don't, fall off. Um, right? Makes sense. Okay. So then I have something like this, right? Obviously, like these ones were larger, so you know, I trimmed off the corners. Okay. I think I used the whole package of these. And some I did on larger labels and some on smaller ones. I'm working on 19 journals, so I wanted to make sure I had at least 2 of these for each journal. So, you know, just line them up however you like them, I guess, is, you know, makes sense, right? And then I'll come back and I'll take each one. I'll take each one. Got my little fabric pieces and stuff. I might need some more uh, of these pieces of linen, but take a little bit larger piece. And in this case, I'm going to add something on the back. Okay. Um, actually, use a little piece of this too. I love this eyelet trim. So I'm going to put that on the bottom, across the bottom, and then add another little piece of fabric right here. So I'm using this Scotch permanent glue stick for the fabric elements. Um, I've also been using the Art Glitter Glue fabric glue, and it's great. Like it holds just as good as the paper version of their glue. Um, it's just I'm trying to not get my desk full of glue right now. It's a little bit more liquid, so it it kind of squishes through the fabric a little bit. So you kind of got to be careful when you use it, but it's really good glue. I mean, it holds fabric amazingly well and it's super flexible. So anyway, so I just added a couple little elements of fabric behind, and then same thing. I'm just going to go in and add some paper elements kind of over these guys. Okay, but in this case, I'm gluing them on. Now I'm trying not to glue the back where because this is going to be like a pocket, right? So I don't want glue to go onto that label. I just want it on the front of the figure on the, you know, and to make sure, like I kind of open it up just to make sure. So I'm just gluing it right on his chest there because I do want that to stay open. And then I'll just add other little bits where I like them. I like that butterfly, but yeah. Okay. So that's basically my little cluster built on a cardstock tag shape using one of the little people as a pocket. And then I just built a little layering on the front of um, that person and added my fabric on the back because this is going to get glued down onto a page. So anyway, and then I think what I will maybe do is actually go back and stitch this again with the sewing machine because I like the way that looks. And I've done that on some of these other ones where I stitched over the top. And I just, I just think it looks cool. So here's some of the other ones that I've done. And they're fun. They're just super fun. Lots of, I'm using up a whole bunch of my little ephemera pieces and using up all of these people that, like, see this one, I trimmed her off right on the edge for some reason. I don't remember why, but, and like this one, I cut her across on the bottom, just, different like variety, so these ones are just attached on one side. So this can be like a tuck spot. You could slide something all the way, all the way under them like that. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys kind of how I go about putting together clusters and, some ideas about layering little bits and little pieces of ephemera and stuff like that. I'll just kind of pile the ones that I've done on the desk here so you can see them. Some smaller ones. So this one was done with a larger image on a small tag base, you know, which I think is kind of cool, you know, and that little guy. And this one I just was really simple, just a little piece of fabric, a label, and a butterfly. Doesn't have to be, lots and lots of layers to create some cool texture and variety, you know. So pull out all your little bits and your little scraps and some fabric and lace trims. And gosh, I should get my rickrack and add some rickrack in there, And then here's some smaller clusters that I did last night. Just using up all the bits, you know, and these are just stapled. So, I may, depending on how I use this, I might come back and add a little dab of glue under that, just so it doesn't like lift up, but it's stapled and it's pretty secure, This is why I don't like the super long string. So I usually cut those down, tie a knot, cut it down a little bit shorter. And then, you can make little tiny miniature clusters too, which are super fun using just the tiniest little elements, like where you would use, say, like you would use this little tag as a base instead of, a bigger piece, like just use a little teeny thing. And then you can use even smaller elements, right? Like this could be my little fabric layer, you know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Little mushroom. Wait, let's just put one together real quick. Oh, wait. Here's a little butterfly. That'll be better. So just like Maybe add that there. That behind. Wait, I need a number. So then I can tear. Need another number. No, I have enough numbers. Wait, what's this? Oh, the little the little airmail thing. And then add my butterfly. Piece of dust. And then staple it. Little tiny clusters. So anyway. All right, you guys. And then you could make a bunch of little tiny clusters and then just stick those on there. You know, I mean, that's legal. You can do that. So, all right, I'm signing off. I love you guys. And if you're waiting on anything to be shipped from me, it is on the way. I printed the shipping labels today, so they're going out tomorrow. And I apologize for my kind of, I don't know, dragging my feet about doing certain things lately, but I've just been really distracted. So anyway, I'm working on it. I'm getting back on track. So love you guys. Okay, bye for now. Thanks for watching.